Welcome, and thank you for joining us for Coffee with Hilary and Les, brought to you by State of Mind Hypnosis and Training Center, located in the heart of the Kawartha Lakes. This is our almost daily community podcast about the mind and how we all might change it in the most simple and helpful ways. Every day we sit staring at the lake, sipping our coffee, having a chat about hypnosis and how to make those meaningful adjustments to our state of mind. Because nothing's more important than your state of mind. Yeah, we gotta work on that music. This is January 16th, 2023. The sun is bright and shiny, and there's three swans standing guard over what's left of the tiny stream. The river's almost completely frozen over. It's just a tiny stream in the middle. But 2 cold, sunny days in a row. Nice to sit, sip the coffee, and that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful morning. I'm still waking up. Only on my first coffee.
Coffee, it's got an awful lot to give us, doesn't it?
Yeah. So what are we going to talk about today?
You said yesterday that we should talk about the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts about the mind?
I think I wanted to talk about maybe, some offbeat topics about the mind where we imagine the mind to be. What is the mind?
The ultimate question.
The ultimate question, yeah.
It's hard to describe a box when you're inside it, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to describe a house when you're sitting in one room. It's hard to describe the mind when you're in it and living it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just so many ideas from different people of where the mind is. You hear a lot now about the brain just being kind of an antenna for the mind.
Yeah, that's those guys in Montreal. I think it's Laval. We should find it and provide a link. They think that the brain is an antenna and that it facilitates the mind, but that the brain doesn't hold the mind. There's some Netflix videos on scientists who are trying to study the mind, trying to determine how the brain creates the mind. And of course, there's a whole world of scientists who think, well, you're looking in the wrong place because the brain doesn't create the mind. There's a whole bunch of spiritualists who will tell you that the mind creates the brain. As the whole body, brain, mind complex, it's one of those areas science has very, very little agreement and an awful lot of what's the right word? Futility. They look and they look and they look, and their studies don't result in any meaningful findings. And so in hypnosis, we're stuck with whatever model we create and use that model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I find also, you have kind of different types of clients who are very much about the body, and their mind is very much inside their body. And then you have the clients that are working with this construct of the mind outside the body. And so I just find it interesting taking each client through their own journey with their own interpretation of reality, right? Who knows what the right thing is, or even if there is a right thing, but it's pretty amazing. I guess for myself, I imagine the mind is outside of the body, but that's my own interpretation of it.
Yeah, for me, the mind is attached to the body temporarily. That's why the body and the mind interact so much. That's one of the really confusing things about the science, is how the mind and the body interact. But, as science's great problem is causality. We can show that things are related. We can show things to be connected, but we can't show what causes what. Does the existence of the brain cause the mind? Does the existence of the mind cause the brain? Do they both coexist and something else is causing both of them? Are there multiple factors out there that come together to create something? Or is something the product simply of a single idea or a single place? There's the physicality of our world that is really hard to ignore, right? Here we are in the morning sipping our coffee, knowing that as we sip our coffee, our mind starts to loosen up and starts to gain focus. And the instant we engage our mind is really the time we've finally woken up, right? We lie in bed and the dreams wander through our mind. We're aware, a little bit aware, not really aware. Usually a sound. They say that the hearing is the thing that triggers the brain. A sound makes us come into the room and start to use our mind. And the instant we've engaged our mind, the sleep time is over. We're done. So these are all just really neat observations to ask yourself, where does this come from? And more importantly, how can I impact my mind? How can I create my mind? How can I reprogram my mind? How can I make the most of my mind?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think about some, I don't want to say weird, but what comes to mind is weird and, that phrase, weird and wonderful concepts or ideas. When I work with near-death experiencers, and the mind is, it's like the soul. Many times, and this is pretty out there, but I don't mind talking about it because it's what I do. But when a near-death experiencer, a lot of the time when they have a near-death experience, they end up experiencing a light in the corner, the top right-hand corner of the room that they're in. And oftentimes when they are out of the body, so to speak, they are in that corner, the top right-hand corner of the room. And sometimes when these experiencers come back, it's like they don't reintegrate back very easily. And so it's almost like they've got one foot in the body and one foot out. And they often talk about the mind or their spirit, their soul being stepped away from the body in a sense. And so it just, makes my brain run in circles about what is the mind, right? Where is that? Are we downloading information from that part of us that is almost like it's with us all the time, just up in the corner of the room, right? And we're
wondered where I put it.
Yeah, and we're just bringing information down from that, and these biological bodies get in the way with emotions and thoughts that aren't so good for us. And when we, in hypnosis, take a step back and we come down from our emotions, or we're looking at our emotions in a different way, and we're not so tapped into feeling unwelcome or stuck emotions, then it's almost like we're open to listening to that part of our mind, whatever that is or wherever it is. That's where spiritual type hypnosis comes in. And I mean, it's all really, in the end, you're bringing through information that's for your highest good, right? It's for your the well-being of you, and who knows where that comes from. So that's why wondering where the mind is a very interesting idea to me.
Yeah, and I think one of the most fundamental aspects of mind when it comes to hypnosis is that old Freudian model that there are levels, and that there are parts of the mind that serve different functions, and that there are parts of the mind at different, what's the right word? Different aspects of who you are in terms of a personality, how the mind creates it. So when you go back to the idea of the old Freudian model, that there's a conscious mind, there's a subconscious mind, there's an unconscious mind. You presented, Hilary's got a great picture of an iceberg in her office. And that iceberg, the conscious mind, is the part that's above the waterline. But it's the tiniest part, and it's the part we recognize, the part we see, but not really the part that's causing the iceberg to float, not the part that's causing the iceberg to exist. And you get down below, and you have aspects of the mind that are controlling the autonomic nervous system, the stuff that goes on without you thinking about it. We talked about the cell level yesterday. And you have the subconscious mind, which is often perceived as the biggest part of the mind, that it is constantly turned on. It's constantly registering and recording everything that's going on around you. It's constantly monitoring your state and your surroundings so that you are safe. I mean, every part of the mind is designed to keep you safe. But what I always say is, how many times in a day do you say, why did I say that? Or why did I do that? Or why did I eat that? And it's really, that the programming, the parts of you that determine your behaviors, if we just use the word behavior to mean every kind of physical voice expression that you go through, the part of the mind that's really dictating that is the subconscious mind, where there exists, again, another nice analogy is the idea of a computer. That's the programming. You can't do more than what your programming permits. And that's the area that we work on. And using that model, it works. And hundreds and thousands and probably millions of hypnotists before us have been using these same kinds of models of the mind to help people reprogram, to help people find why they behave a certain way, find why emotions feel out of control sometimes. And these simple, subtle techniques using that model of the mind have been incredibly therapeutic. I mean, that's why hypnosis is paid for by insurance companies, and why hypnosis has got its own scientific journal, because although nobody can really explain definitively scientifically why it works, the fact is it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had looking through that, specifically that cell video on TikTok, it had a lot of questions, and one of the questions that came up was can I do this on my own without a hypnotist, basically? They're right by my side. So, absolutely, right off the bat, absolutely, you can do this on your own. You can take yourself on your own journeys through the mind. Sometimes, like every human, we need a little extra help and guided help in times. But, yeah, absolutely, you can get started.
I'm going to let the dog out.
You can get started just finding that time and space to relax without distractions. Animals love hypnosis, so don't be surprised if, your dog lays down on you or your cat comes up and sits on you while you're doing this. But, when it comes to screaming children or something like that, you may want to find a different room.
Yeah, self-hypnosis is not a whole lot different than meditation, and meditation is not a whole lot different than, let's say, prayer, which is not a whole lot different than just sitting quietly. And that's fundamentally what it is, sitting quietly. It starts with finding a place where you won't be disturbed, as Hilary says, and putting yourself in a comfortable spot, but not the spot that you'll fall asleep in. That's my problem, is that I fall asleep too easy. But, I've been engaged in self-hypnosis for almost 20 years. And I'm a big believer in self-hypnosis because I don't think anybody should be dependent on a hypnotist to be able to do things. So I think it's important for hypnotists, while they're working with clients, to train the client in self-hypnosis. I also find it to be a wonderful technique to make working with the client easier, because the client can practice this process on their own and become better at it. So when they come to the office, the time is more effective. So there's lots of really great things about self-hypnosis. As you might with meditation, finding a quiet place where you won't be disturbed and sitting in a comfortable position, and you can decide whether you want to do the full lotus or you want to just sit in a chair. Don't recommend lying down. As I said, you'll just fall into sleep. But once you find that quiet place, the easiest way to start is just to focus on your breath, because what you're trying to do is ignore the external world and focus on the internal world. And that will generally start with the body, because that's the tool you use to experience the external world. So when you turn your focus inward and then upward into your mind, paying attention to nothing but your breath, you're going to find yourself calming. And if you engage this with the intention to calm, you're going to find yourself naturally into some degree of a state. Now, the states, we're going to do some videos on this. The states to remember is that we can use an electroencephalogram to measure the activity, the electronic activity in a brain. And as the brain slows down, the waves on an EEG become a little bit longer, a little bit wider. The phase begins to expand. The depth and the height tend to expand. And it's just a visual representation of how you're trying to slow your mind down. Once you're in an awake state, they talk about the beta state. The beta state is really in the conscious mind. And then you go down into the alpha state, which is really the beginnings of hypnotic trance of any kind, or any kind of a meditative state. You've just slowed the mind down. You slow it down more, and you enhance the ability to access the subconscious mind. So if you think about yourself trying to move down the iceberg, from the tip of the iceberg down into the middle of the iceberg, and you visualize that, that's just a great little metaphor, because hypnosis functions on metaphors. What kinds of metaphors do you recommend people use to try to get down into their mind?
I use a stairway a lot, especially for the very first session. It helps them relax deeper. It's funny because as sessions go on, they go into hypnosis a lot easier, so I don't need to take them through those visuals as much. But everybody's different. But the first session, I use the metaphor of a stairway going down, and I also use a doorway to the subconscious mind. Usually in subsequent sessions, the doorway's always there. We go there after the breath work. And so the doorway is a nice metaphor to kind of see into the subconscious mind. So I often, after getting them to bring the doorway up into their mind and notice maybe what color it is or what it's made out of, just noticing the details of that doorway allows them to go a bit more, deeper relaxed. And oftentimes I'll get them to place a window in that door, and that's sort of, I guess, a metaphor to the window to the subconscious mind. And through that window, they kind of get a sense as they're looking through the window onto the other side that there's just this beautiful place in their mind. And that beautiful place is different for everybody. Maybe it's, somewhere that they've been before in life, or maybe it's just the subconscious mind pushing beautiful places to them. Often it's nature related. So people go to places like meadows and forests and beaches and wonderful places like that. And as we're bringing up that subconscious mind, it's opening up that right side of the mind that's more creative, that has more imagery sometimes. And so I just get them to give me some details of what that beautiful place is. And then we use that place as our jumping place, right? It's a stopping grounds for in between doing the work here and there.
So what kind of metaphors could they use themselves to access their cells? The individual parts of the body and the little individual units of the body. What are some metaphors you can use while you're sitting quietly? Now you've put yourself in your chair. You've relaxed. Your breath is now even. You've taken yourself, using one of these metaphors, to some beautiful place. Mm-hmm. What would you encourage them to, or what would you offer them to use as metaphors to access their cells?
As for communicating at a cellular level, I would, if you would, want to try this on your own in the comfort of your own home, I would find that space, relax down, go through those relaxing techniques that I just spoke about, and I would turn my experience inward, and I would imagine going down to any part of the body. Just allow your mind to wander. Don't be too focused on I have to go here or I have to go there. Just allow the mind to take you wherever into the body. People often joke about it. It's almost like that Magic School Bus episode where Miss Frizzle takes the kids on a ride on her bus, like through a body and down to the cellular level. So people have fun with that idea. And if that's what you want to do, then that's wonderful too. Imagine you're on that bus going down to the cellular level. So people go down to that level and they bring forward a cell, and all that takes is just asking. Your subconscious mind already knows what you're doing. It's a funny thing. So you chances are might even see or experience a cell around you even before you ask. So in that sense, you want to send a message to that cell. Maybe that message is about letting go of something. healing in all respects, self-healing, sending a message of love, sending the message that, let's work together and work properly and be healthy and feel good. And so you send that message to the cell, and maybe the metaphorical way of doing that would be sending light or sending color, and allowing and seeing that cell, getting a sense of that cell accepting that from you, and spreading that message throughout the other cells of the body. So maybe you see or experience waves of light or color, or the message just going out to all the other cells around that area, and then just keep that moving, that wave or that light or that color, just keep that moving outward throughout the whole body. And just notice how you feel during this experience. Many clients talk about just being so calm. There's usually this nice warm feeling of peace and just feeling like everything's okay in life, and just so relaxed. And they like to, they talk about how they like experiencing, being in communication with the cells. How that feels, right? So we go through life and we feel like we are totally out of control of what our body does on a daily basis. And well, how can I control anything my cells do? Well, when you go down to that level, you can send that message to the cells. And throughout your days, you can even take a moment here and there to just send that message naturally. Just think in your mind that message. You don't have to, you don't have to go down to the cellular level, but it's a nice place to start, and it gives you an idea of what that whole experience is. And so I encourage you to try that out, and then allow it to just become a part of your life. So every day you just take a few moments. It doesn't have to take half an hour. Just take a few moments to send that message of health and wellness to your cells, almost as if you're just, the commander of your cells, and you love your cells. You send gratitude to them for helping you function every day, helping you live your life. So that's how I would do that.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess brings us to the reframe of the day. In the spirit of what we're talking about, we talked about yesterday about the idea that my mind is actually in control of my body, and that my mind has the ability to control. And we talked today about the unconscious mind. So the reframe today that I encourage you to consider is that the body heals naturally. It's programmed to heal. It's programmed to seek nutrition and use that nutrition to build strength, to function in the processes. The body's been built to do that. So the real question is, what am I doing in my mind and in my subconscious mind to interfere with what would go on naturally in my unconscious mind? My unconscious mind would naturally want to heal my body. So it's really not a matter of what do I need to do to have health. It's more a matter of what am I doing to interfere with the natural processes of my health. How can I use my mind to allow my deepest unconscious mind to just do what it knows how to do? Oftentimes that's about releasing negative emotions. Oftentimes anger is just a horrible thing that we hold. They say anger is the thing that destroys the vessel that holds it. We react to what's going on in our world sometimes by eating foods that we just know we should not be eating. What am I doing that's causing my deepest unconscious mind to be unable to do what it does naturally? Yeah, health is your natural state. So it's really more about what you're doing to interfere with that than it is how to promote that. So reframe it today.
Wonderful.
What's going on this week? We said yesterday, but reminders, what's going on this week?
You have your 7th Path Refresher on Thursday.
Yes, I do.
And I have an interview for someone with YouTube. But, yeah, I'll talk about that like when it's released and let you guys know what went on with that and where to find it and all that.
But events and information about all of this is always found on the website. Try to keep tons and tons and tons of information on the website.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easily accessed by you at any time you want it. So you can check our events calendar and stuff there.
Yeah, the events calendar is found on the website under the About section. And the About is a drop-down menu, and in that drop-down menu there's workshops, and just click on that and you can find all our online workshops.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. My coffee's empty, so time for another coffee.
Yep. Me first. No, I'm just kidding. Go. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast and that maybe it helped, even a little. If you have any questions, we would love you to send them along in an email to info@somhypnosis.com. Thank you for being part of the State of Mind community. For more information about hypnosis and the various online or in-person services we provide, please visit our website, www.somhypnosis.com. The link will be in the notes below. While you are there, why don't you book a free 1-hour journey meeting with Hilary or Les to learn more about what hypnosis is and how you might use it to make your life what you want it to be. Bye for now. Talk to you tomorrow.